Happy Saturday. I wanted to come and talk to you guys a little bit about some of the books that have changed my ideas when it comes to money and things that I've done in my life to implement some of the lessons that I learned from those books. So the first book, everyone has read this, is Richest, Poor Dad, but I'm going to tell you what I got out of it. So I went to school for finance, so a lot of the things that were in the book I was aware of them. But one thing that the book kind of changed was the notion of like, okay, if you own a business, you're still working. And if you don't work on the business, then you don't earn any money. Therefore, to me, I didn't see any big difference between that and being employed, to be honest with you. I understand that you kind of control your time and things like that, and when you work, when you don't work. But you have more autonomy when it comes to that. But at the same time, if you don't put any time, it still to me felt like an exchange of time for money. So, but I learned from the book that there's another way for doing that, for getting money without giving your time. And that was things like stocks, things like businesses that you don't really work on. Other people, you have employees and other people work on. So not like a sole proprietor where you're the owner operator. You know what I'm saying? Owner operator to me feels the same way as just being an employee. So so my question to myself was, how can I find ways to gain income without trading my time for money? Therefore, I looked into one of the things that I've done to change. I've been really heavy on investing in stocks. And another thing that I've done was I try to find businesses and things that I'm not really exchanging my time for money for like that. So I've done Airbnb, which is that one. If you do it one time, let's say like I have a guest in, I do have to do cleaning. Obviously, that takes about 2 hours, but the rest of the time that the client is there, I don't have to be trading my time for money. The second book that I read was The Richest Man in Babylon. This was one of the things that was very pivotal in my financial journey. One of the books that was very pivotal. But an idea that I never thought of before is like, well, you concentrate on expense. So if I concentrate on being an artist, then no, I'm gonna be a better artist because I'm putting in time. I'm dedicating my energy into this thing. So in my life, I wanted to achieve financial freedom, and in order for me to control my time, therefore I had to put my time and energy into finances. And the reason why this was very pivotal, as a society, we try to avoid topics about finances. We try to not look into our finances, more like, oh, I just spend money. I ignore everything else that comes with it. I just hope that the money is there for me to spend. We try to avoid looking into our debts. It's just a taboo topic in general. Like, people don't like looking into their finances. So for me, it was more like I came to a realization. In order for me to achieve what I wanted to achieve, I had to sit down and look into where I was financially. So that means tracking my net worth. It means setting financial goals that are very specific towards me achieving financial freedom. It had to mean looking into my debt, coming up with different strategy, and figuring out which one works for me. So those are things that book taught me. And I'm sorry if I'm talking weird. I got braces the other day and I still don't know how to talk with this shit on. The other book that I read was very pivotal was The Last Chance Millionaire. So I read this book about 6 months after buying my home, right? And before then, I thought about the idea of paying my home early. I was like, oh, I told you I'm Dave-ish, so I do listen to a lot of Dave, whatever Dave says. So Dave says 15 years after you finish after you start saving 15% of your income, then the next thing is to I don't have no kids, so I'm not doing that, but is to pay, say, for your kids' college and then pay your home early. Where I don't have kids, and so my next thing was like, oh, let me start paying my home early. But after reading this book, it brought up the notion of like, okay, so if, let's say, my home is, I have 20, 50, let me see, if I have paid my home down, this is not about equity, this is about me paying my home down. I paid my loan off 50K, right? The 50K is just sitting there. It's not doing anything. It's still my money because that's my it's part of my equity. But at the same time, it's not doing anything in terms of like bringing me extra money. So this book kind of taught me the notion of like, don't pay your home early. Instead, put that money into things that bring you interest. So like stocks, bonds, and stuff like that. And those things are gonna make sure that your money grows instead of your money just sitting. And then later on, you can use that money to pay your mortgage off if that's what brings you joy, instead of just letting your money in. He also brought the idea that it might be, if you're very disciplined, you can also refinance, take the money out, make sure this is not for spending, this is not for consumption. Now you're not taking the money out for consumption. Take the money out, use the money to invest, so that your money, the money that could have been sitting, is growing. And then remember, this money is not for this not money for you buying Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and anything. It's just money for growing. And then later on, it can grow to a point where you can pay that mortgage off early. So after reading that book, I neglected the notion of paying my home off early, so I'm not no longer doing that. But there was one thing that was still bothering me, and that was interest. I don't like no interest. I don't like paying anyone no interest. So the solution that I came up with was, I am not cool with paying that amount of interest. And the first few years of you paying your mortgage, majority of the payment is in interest. Just like, I do not like paying interest. So I need to find someone else who's going to pay that interest. So because of that, I decided to house like. So I have rented my home out, parts of my home out. I've also done Airbnb on sections of my home to ensure that other people are paying that interest instead of me. The other book that I read that I'm actually about to be done reading is The Psychology of Money. This book is amazing. I am so glad I started reading it. But one of the lessons that I've learned so far is that saving is the gap between your ego and your income. And if you think about it, that's just so true. Your ego is the reason why you think that you deserve that car. You deserve those to get your nails done, but you're not gonna do just the regular. You're gonna do like the $200 nails. It's the reason why you think you need those bundles that are 22 inches. It's the reason why you think that you should live in a 4-bedroom house, but you can only sleep in one bed and it's only you. So ego is so important, but majority of the time also your ego is about impressing other people. It's how you look in front of other people. So if you find yourself having issues with savings, you might have to evaluate why do you care so much about what other people feel? Why do you think what between what you deserve and what actually brings value in your life? Like, look at things that actually truly bring you happiness and value to your life and evaluate that. Another a lesson that I learned from that book is rich is your current income, and then wealth is income not spent. This was hard for me to understand because of I was going between the idea of what does it mean to be rich and what does it mean to be wealthy, and we use that sometimes interchangeably, and it can be hard for people to understand. Rich is if I make $1 million right now, then I'm rich. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I have wealth, because I can make $1 million and spend $1 million and be left with nothing. But if I can make $1 million, save 500K, then my wealth is 500K. Your wealth is what you haven't spent already. So I think as a society we need to distinguish between that, because you look at someone who has like, let's say Rolls Royce, because Rolls Royce came up with that they sold majority of the cars this year. They had an increase. But if you have Rolls Royce but you don't have anything in your bank, child, you're rich. And people are gonna perceive you as though you're wealthy. But that's a huge difference. If you miss a payment on that car, it's taken away, and your idea of richness is no longer gone. But wealth gives you more options in life. It gives you the ability to spend your time as you wish. Medical bills come back, you can cover them and things like that. But richness is more like, it's more of an illusion. There we go. So that was it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.